Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today with our group training, the advanced session. We had our basic session last week. I just had a look at the chat and everyone looks very happy that it's the next day. Everyone looks very happy. Good morning everywhere, which is great. Thank you for that. So today I will be the host of this session. Rainer Skippers, I'm one of the client relationship managers at Revolutive based in Johannesburg. And our trainer today will be Colin Greenway, who normally hosts our sessions. He's also a client relationship and he's very excited to show you what we have on offer today. Okay. Just some of the topics that Colin will be discussing in today's session is he'll be going through our bulk update system, exports, filtering, standard campaigns. We're going to look at some A/B split testing, landing pages, some autoresponders and workflows, as well as triggers. Yeah. Just to note, if you guys do have any questions for us, you can either pop it in the Q&A session. I'll try and answer those as we go through the sessions, but Colin will stop after every few minutes just to go through some of the questions that have been asked within the session, and we'll also have a questionnaire or answering your questions at the end of this session. Colin, over to you.
Thanks, Rainer. Just share your screen. Let me know when you can see it.
We can see it, thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining the session today. Not sure if everyone's just excited to be here, or maybe it's just because load shedding stopped for the week, but thanks so much for making time. We've got a really great session to take you through today that's really going to amplify some of the advanced features in the system that you may or may not be using. So yeah, thanks very much for joining, and we're going to jump into the session. I'm going to turn off my video quick. Perfect. So yeah, so as Rainer mentioned today, what we're going to be going through is a little bit more of our advanced features. We're going to be taking you through bulk update. We're going to talk about export, how to draw data off the system. We're going to talk about filters, so different filters that you can apply, different features that we've launched around filters. We're also really excited to chat about our tag manager that has to do with a new feature called tags, and I will discuss it with you. Over and above that, we are going to go through and we're going to take you through standard campaigns. So we're going to talk you through what that's about. We're also going to take you through A/B split tests, so different ways of testing or mailer in different ways. And then we will dive into autoresponders and triggers, as well as workflows and landing pages. So we're going to finish off with those autoresponders, workflows, and triggers, which is kind of our real automation side of things. But yes, we've got a very, very exciting session for you all today. Okay. Perfect. So I'm going to come through to bulk update. It's part of the contact card option here because it has to do with your contacts. Once you come to the bulk update screen, so just to give you an understanding that this feature is pretty straightforward. It is called bulk update, but it's there to bulk update contacts all with the same information. So, normally you would still do an import with everyone with their own information, but the bulk update feature is really great if you need to update a bunch of information for a whole lot of content. Okay. So you can do this. You can stipulate an email address or an SMS or a mobile number. Okay. If I look at, for example, here, I've got an Excel sheet or maybe an import file. We can take, a list. So once you take a list of contacts you want to bulk update, and we'll show you how you export those contacts on the export page. But you can basically take that list of contacts. So these will show you how you can basically identify the contact you want to bulk update, and then you've got a bunch of different options you want to update. Okay, so you can see on the right here, there's an option to update a contact and delete contacts. always what we recommend to clients is don't delete contacts. You always want to make sure you have a record of contact because that's their record of their unsubscribe or their off status, but it does give you that option if you really need to do that at some point. Okay. So yeah, so when it comes to bulk update, there's different parts you can do. Like you can see here, you can update an email status. So an email status would be a subscribed or unsubscribed status. And a great example of this is you might, I don't know, buy over a business, or you may consolidate your marketing into one platform, and hopefully that's analytic. You might need to bulk update contacts so they actually set to an unsubscribed status that maybe you're carrying from a second or from a separate system. Okay. So if we wanted to do that, I could say these contacts must be unsubscribed, and then I can select the list they must be unsubscribed from. So if it's advanced training, this is just our training environment. So there's a lot of just different, not the cleanest little organization of lists here, but we use it for our training. So let's say, for example, we wanted to make all these contacts set to unsubscribe on this list. And that's what this option is doing. I'm setting the contact's email status to unsubscribe. And like I said, you can do the same thing for mobile. Okay. So that's a great example of updating a person's status. Another big part of that, so let's say you've got a contact's data and their status is off. Remember, an off status is a suppression status, meaning we won't send to a contact when their status is off. So if you know you've got 100 of these people from your CRM system or whatever, and their status must be set to off, I can come here, I can select the status to be off. I can select all lists or one list, because just remember, this is a contact status, not a list status. Okay. Once I say bulk update, it's now going to update all those contacts, and it will let you know which contacts were not found. And I'm not surprised with this, because this is just an example of an incorrect email address I keep in my report. Okay. So that's just an example. And then over and above that, so that's kind of the key ones where people are updating, usually to update if the contact should be unsubscribed or not, or a status, but you can update any other information here. Great example for this would be, you know, maybe you've got a client type, for example. You know, if I paste in all of those specific email addresses, I might want to update their client type set to whatever, you know, you can set it to a certain type. So you can update all this at one time. And obviously it makes it much easier because you're updating them all to the same field. So always just remember that bulk updates, updating them all at once to the same option, be that you may be updating like a rep information, maybe there's a rep that's left and they've contacts that have a certain rep they deal with, you can update that from Colin to Josh. Okay. But yeah, very easy to use. This is where you can do your bulk updating. If you have any questions around it, please drop it into the question and answer section in Zoom, and we will deal with it. Okay, so that's everything looking at bulk updates. We're going to jump to exports now. So just to rehash, like bulk updates, as I said, it's just to update contacts all at the same time, be it a subscription status, a list status, or perhaps even just a contact status. Okay. Now that we've come to export, so it'll give you a blank screen. What you can do is you can check all, or you can check specific lists. So I'm just going to select all lists. And now what the option gives you is you can select which contacts to export. I can export all contacts. So if you just want to export maybe an archive file to keep somewhere, you can do that. If I want to export all off contacts, I can do that. And then you can go and you can stipulate specific ones. So active, bounce, and subscribe, for example. For this one, let's say I just want to export all contacts. There is also a really nice option. You can say, I just want to export email or mobile, because, you know, just understand when you start selecting more fields, you know, the file gets bigger and bigger. So trying to be specific can help your file size from being a little bit smaller. Over and atop that, you know, the general fields that are selected would be your name, last name, email, mobile number, and a contact status. But you can also export an email status. So they'll show you what list they're on, as well as the status. Are they subscribed, unsubscribed? Okay. Also the email list status, so what list they will be on versus what just the status is on that list. And then you can even export things like subscribe date, if there's an unsubscribe reason. And you can select every additional property. So these additional properties are our default ones. You know, looking at kind of state, province, gender. There's even some options around soft and hard bounces or even message reads as well. But then you can also go and select any other custom field. So this is our adding all that information for the contact, as well as linking, you know, maybe the industry they're in, if you think. Maybe you need to have an ID number, or perhaps their account manager. You want to see who their current account manager is. Okay. So now that I've selected that, I'm just going to say export data. Wait for it to load. And then I can go and open the file. And I'll just briefly show you the information it's pulled through. Okay. So I've come here, I'm just going to, because it's an export to CSV, I'm just going to split it out to comma separated. And basically what you can see from here now is you can see the list name, the person's contact. So you'll see like Fabio at Everlytic here, he exists on these different lists. His contact status is on, okay. His email status per list is subscribed or unsubscribed, and you can even see the subscribe date to those lists. Okay. So if you wanted, you could take this, you could filter it really easy and say, I want to see everyone that is on a specific list. Okay. And it'll give you that information. Perfect. So yeah, so really just a nice thing to do. So just some examples on what people use this for is, like I said, you just want to archive some data to store. Maybe you want to just check on your client list. Let's say, for example, like we said, what is the current account manager information linked to that contact? You can export it, use that file, and then re-import and update the specific fields. Okay. But yeah, if you have any questions or any use cases, maybe some troubleshooting, drop it into the question and answer Q&A section in Zoom. We will deal with it. Reino is answering those questions, but we will go through them. Okay. Perfect. So we've gone through bulk update. We've got exports. Now what we're going to get to is our filters. Okay. So yeah, so filters is extremely useful feature. I hope that you do use it. If you don't, that's okay. This is what these sessions are for. But in the filter is part of our segmentation tool. Okay. So what happens is you come and you create a filter. So let's say you've got your client list, whatever, and you've got 1,000 people on that list. You can come now and create a filter to target specific people according to different things. Okay, so you can target them according to basic contact information, additional contact information, or even just some custom fields that you've mapped to a contact. Okay. What's always good is to come and just name your filter. So this is going to be group training, for example. And what's really, really important also, especially if it's a filter that's used often over and over, is to always add a description. Okay. This will help you just later on when you need to refer back to that specific filter per se. And now we go in and we choose what specific fields we want to filter on. Okay. So starting with email, you could go and say email is like Gmail if you want. And then you go and look up all contacts that contain gmail.com as an example. What's also really nice with this option is you can actually select is blank. And where this is very useful is, let's say, for example, you send an email to everyone on your list, okay? And I want to send an email to everyone whose mobile number is blank. In other words, they don't have a mobile number, so we can go and send them an email. But what you can do after that is you can then go and take the same filter and say, I actually want to send an SMS, because maybe you haven't got the email addresses for those people, but you can say, email address is empty, and that would mean that you're going to send it to everyone that you've already sent the email to. You can send them an SMS because you now use the filter to identify that they don't actually, we're sending an SMS to everyone whose email address is empty. So not only can you stipulate a field option, you can also leave it empty. And that's quite useful, especially if you want to just, just target certain people. Okay. Name, so you might be able to go search different names. It's not used as often. Last name as well. And then you can also go and search on things like contact ratings. Okay, so basically how the system works is we give contacts a rating. They always come in on a score 2, and depending if they start opening more emails, they engage more, their score gets higher. Okay, if they're not opening any mailers, their score will stay on 2, and if they're actually like bouncing or complaining, their score will drop to 1, so it's less engaged. Okay, so yeah, so very useful. This is almost like an engagement filter, so I can say, I want to contact all my clients that are greater than 3, meaning they're 4 and 5, and you might want to offer them a ticket to the Nedbank Golf Challenge or whatever, or an invite to a special event because you know they're more likely to engage. Okay. Limit contact. So this is really helpful if you're on a volume package, meaning that it's, you have got a limit on credits and you've got, it's the last day of the month. Let's say, for example, you want to go and send it to your last 1,500 contacts and you've only got 1,000 credits, you can go and limit it to 1,000 contacts. Just understand this will be randomized. So you can go and limit contacts, or you could limit the amount of people by maybe using the engagement or rating. And then, over and above that, I'm not going to go through all of these, but very straightforward. You can target people very specifically. Date is greater than this, or is between 2 dates. You can go and send a mailer to someone. Same with age. And you can go and stipulate any sort of information you've mapped to a contact. So always remember these fields here, basic, additional, custom fields, okay? That is data you've mapped against a contact. So if you've mapped a company name or an industry, you can go and target that specific grouping linked to those contacts. And perfect. So that's everything looking at like basic additional context fields. Custom fields is the same thing. I can go and say, I want to send an email to everyone whose account manager is Colin, because Colin's moving to a different region, for example. I can go and send that to everyone who's got Colin as the account manager linked to their contact. Okay. But yeah, so here's a whole other different options that you would have added as your custom field, but any custom field you add, you can target using filters. Okay. The next part we're going to go into, which is really, really exciting for us as a business, is our new 2 features called tags and interest tagging. I do actually just want to take you to our help guide so we can just explain to you exactly what that is. So if you guys don't know, and I hope you do use this is our online knowledge base. Okay, you can come here. I want to search maybe tags. Tags. I can come. So always understand if you ever need assistance or you're unsure about something, come and obviously come to your help guide, and that can also be found here. So your knowledge base. Perfect. So just to take you through the different 2 new features we launched. So I just want to make sure that you understand that there is a difference between the 2. So the first one is contact tagging is a light way to organize subscriber data. So you can segment lists of groups of contacts for intelligent targeting. Okay. And how it works, it's much like a hashtag on social media, which is quite a nice way to explain it. You're almost tagging those tags to those contacts. Okay. So for example, here, if I open the sheet, this is how your import file would look, okay? And when you do your import, there's actually a tags field option. And to map certain tags to a contact, you will go and you'll comma separate them. So for example, you can see here, you might want to tag some demographic stuff, maybe gender, Are they a prospect or they're not? Where did we capture their data? Okay. So once you go in that and you have commas separate in a single column for import, you basically go and import those. Okay. So previously you had to have multiple lists or filters on those lists. Okay. Tagging, on the other hand, enables you to connect tags from multiple lists based on related tags. Okay. It's dynamic, it's quick, it gives you granular control of your segmentation. And it's really nice because, you know, custom fields actually are usually more for like personalization and for certain filters, but these tags make a big difference just to make it a lot easier on that. Okay. So that's tags. So let's have an example like I showed you here. You go and tag these different items. Once you come back to this point, I can come and look, okay, maybe I want to select all prospects. Okay, I can click this and button here, and maybe they must be male. As you can see, we've got male, female, we've got a whole bunch of different options. I can then go and target that. Okay. Once I've done that, I'm just going to say save. If I go and test this and I test against the specific list I would have sent to, so let's say it's this list here. No, none of them match that specific amount because let's say, for example, if I just take this out now, okay. So always remember that with your filters, you don't want to be filtering too much or you might actually narrow down too little. Okay, obviously not that one. Let me just see if I go save. There we go. So on that list, one person has been mapped with that. As I said, this is just our training environment, so you will have a lot more tags to obviously send to on your own environment. But yeah, that's a really nice example. And then just remember, tags are imported data linked to a contact, like I showed you on that. Okay. Second new feature I want to talk to you about is interests. Okay. So interest-based tagging takes this step further. So not is it just not that it has to do with make that data map to it. It uses natural language processing, a form of machine learning. The platform can then categorize the content your contacts are clicking on within your emails and tag them within your list. So the difference between these two is that it has to do with actual links the contacts have clicked. So tags is the data you link to them. Interest-based tagging is contact, depending where they click or whatnot, they'll get different interests linked to them. Okay. So what we did in our kind of just as a test here, I'll show you really quickly when the product's actually launched. So us in this client relationship management team. So let's give me 1 second. So this one. So what we did is we just created an email just as a test when we did it. You can see here we created a test, we added a whole bunch of different links to it across different industries, and then we tested within the team. And what happened is, because of the different links the contacts clicked on, they were mapped under different interests. Okay, so you can see here, according to what people clicked on, they were grouped under different interests according to links. And how it works with this interest filtering, okay, let's say, for example, I just want to go and target everyone who clicked on interest around real estate and listings. I can go and I can test that on that list. And if people clicked it or not, they would show up on that. Okay. Nice thing with this as well, let's say, for example, you've got something here which is like finance. You can be quite specific, being just planning, or it can be finance in general, and it will select all of that. Okay, so let's say, for example, I want everything around finance. I want business and industrial consulting. I can click save, and I can test it, apply it to a specific list. Okay, so yeah, very, very useful. As I said, it uses link tracking. This will be very, very beneficial to you if you like a publication. Obviously, if you are in a certain industry that does specific information, you might not have as wide of interest, but that makes sense. Okay. Perfect. So yeah, those are just a cap on some 2 really exciting features to test and try. As I said, tags has to do with import data, where interests have to do with actual clicked links that people are engaged with. Okay. Going over now, so now we've come to contact activity, and contact activity is really great for filters because it doesn't have to do with data you've mapped against a contact, like with basic, additional, custom, or tags. It has to do with activity. So you can actually start using this filter today, even if you don't have a lot of data. Contact activity is a filter you should be using, even if you don't have a lot of rich data. Okay. And what it does is basically says, you know, I can go and say, you know, I want to look at everyone who has not been sent an email in the last period of time. Okay. In the last 4 weeks. So this is all activity. And you can do the same thing for SMS. What's also really nice is you can also use this. So I can say, I want to send it to everyone who has not opened in the last few months. And let's say if I say has not opened in the last 12 weeks, okay, then I can go and use this filter to almost do an engagement filter, a re-engagement, because not everyone's going to open every email. You might want to target those people that aren't opening your email to drive future opens and engagements. Okay. So you can do that. I can go and test it. Seems like everyone in this environment has opened or has not, none of them has not opened a message in the last 12 weeks. But as I said, this is just our training environment. Okay. Last click date, same thing. It just has to do with has or has not clicked on something in the last period of time. And then you can also stipulate a contact create date. So greater than, contacts were created between these 2 dates if you ever need to send a notification to them around something. And then what's even more exciting about contact activity is you can drill down so much. So I can say has clicked on a specific message in a specific mailer. Okay, so let's say I wanted to send to everyone in this interest tagging mailer that we did as a test, has clicked, and then you can see I can target everyone that has clicked a mailer, and you can select multiple ones. So this is really nice. Maybe you've got a link in your mailers for demos, or maybe a contact me link or something like that. You might want to re-engage with those people. And I can say, I want to spread the message to everyone who did click on these 3. If I plate that, I'm going to be sending it to the specific people that did or didn't click on those. And not everyone would have clicked on a link, but it gives you that option. Okay. And don't forget, you can do anything. So has opened, but has not clicked. Has not been sent, has been sent. So there's so many nice options here. And like I said, just a recap, if you're not using filters yet, you don't need to have any data or specific rich data to use contact activity. Engage with your lists. Send out your first re-engagement campaign if you've never done that. It's super crucial. Okay. List properties. So list properties is also a really nice filter. So basically, we can go and target people that are or are not in a specific list. And a great example of this filter is what we used when we send out our comms to our staff around the group training. So what we do is I actually go and say, okay, I want to send an email to contacts that are not in. And what we do is we go and select the this is just in our training environment, but we actually go and select everyone that's RSVP'd, the RSVP list for our group training. And what this means is I can send an email reminding people to RSVP for the group training, but I'm going to send it to everyone that's not in the RSVP list. So like, for example, this is the advanced training list. Okay. So this is really useful where you can send an email to get them to re-engage, but you might not want to tell the people that have RSVP'd again to remind them to RSVP. Okay, so this is a great use case. And like anything, guys, always test these filters before you apply it, before you can just test it really. Okay. The last one here is geolocation. So you can stipulate people within certain countries. Just take this with a pinch of salt because, you know, not every device does provide, sorry, that says South Africa. Not every device provides us with information. You can go and select specific provinces, but some devices will give us that information, some won't. Okay. So it's really up to you to how to use it. But I know I had one of the colleagues saying they had clients use it during some of the riots in Durban. If they weren't sure if they had the information or not, it kind of was a fallback option to target those. Okay. So yeah, that's everything for filters. One more thing I just wanted to remind you about with filters is filters can also be reused really nicely as an export tool. So like we did export now, I can say I want to get everyone who has not opened an email in 1 week. I want to test against this list. And if you want, you can go and export that list of people. So keep that in mind. You can use it to filter, but you can also create a filter, export it to maybe discuss, okay, how many people are engaging or aren't engaging with specific mailers. Okay. Perfect. So now that we've gone through custom fields, through filters, I want to come to our tag manager, and this links to the tags that have been mapped against content. So if I come to tag manager, you'll see here now talking about all those different tags. You can see every single tag that's been created. So we've got client, we've got location, we've got different levels here, and you can see everyone that's linked to it. So a lot of people are linked to a female tag. We've got some IT, and we've got some other options for clients. Okay, you can come and add a tag here. You can even come and add a description. So you can edit this one and say, maybe I want to add a description. You can do that. Okay, but this is just where you can view the numbers around your tags. So once you start creating tags, what is our biggest base in tags? Who do we want to add together? Before you come and create that filter, you can use this tag manager to build that up. Okay. Perfect. So yeah, so we've gone through bulk updates, exports, talked about filters and tag managers. We're going to jump quickly into standard campaigns, and then we're going to run over to Reino to go through some questions. Okay. Perfect. So standard campaigns. So standard campaigns are really great to use. Not everyone uses them, and some people get confused on the use case for them. Okay. But basically what a standard campaign is, it's a way to group similar messages in a campaign together. Okay. So let's say, for example, I'll come here, I'm creating a standard campaign. Come on, internet. Let's give it some time here while it's syncing a bit. Let me just try to refresh this quickly. Reino, do you want to go over maybe 2 questions while I'm waiting for this standard campaigns to load?
Oh, Colin, will do. All right, so we had a few questions. So Ashton asked, what's the difference between unsubscribe and suppressing? Why are there the 2 differences? So Ashton, with that, I did answer on the chat as well, but with that, some clients only want to stop receiving content from specific divisions within a company, and they still want to receive communication from others. So for that reason, we allow them to unsubscribe from individual lists individually. Yeah. And then we had a question from Liane. Can you export and import a list which lies underneath a master list? So all lists are exportable within Everlytic. And then we had a question from Peter. Peter asked, he notices that mobile numbers get reformatted when exporting from Everlytic. So they don't really get reformatted. It's just with Excel. When you do the export, it just makes the columns much smaller than normal. And once you make those columns a little bit wider, the normal cell phone number or contact number will show as it should. Then we had two questions regarding the export options. So there were questions: do you have an option to select all for the additional properties fields on export? And the answer to that is no, because there are a lot of fields. So not a lot of clients require all of that information because it's not part of their data sets. Unfortunately not. You do have to select all the fields that you need individually. And then the training video. So as mentioned when we started, this training recording video will be made available a little bit later on. But we do have existing recordings available from previous sessions. If you could even send an email to your client relationship manager, they will be happy to share those recordings with you. And we will also share this recording with everyone when it's done and cleaned up by our marketing team. And then Ashton said she has unsubscribed to contact from all lists, but they still sometimes get an email. And the only thing that works is suppressing them. Like I said, Ashton, kindly send your client relationship manager an email to investigate, because that should not happen at all. So we just like to investigate that. And so Conrad asked the same question regarding the select all and additional properties or fields for exporting. Already answered that. For tagging and interest tagging, how are clicks affected by robot clicks and how is this managed? So basically, we use Google's natural interest-based tagging software. So it's not really possible for us or them to automatically pick up if it's a robot click or not. There aren't any recapture or confirmation that you're not a robot or anything like that on clicks. If you do suspect there were a lot of clicks from a specific link, let your client relationship manager know. They'll investigate with our development team and see what that was all about. But from the technology as a whole, there's no way of limiting robots to click on it, because like I said, there's no confirmation on that. And then James asked, can you use interest-based tagging in your workflow? For example, the client clicks on a link and then another workflow with more content around subject fires off. So interest-based tagging is possible to enable within workflows itself as it stands at the moment. And then another question from Ashton: is it possible to use more than one filter at a time, or would you always have to create a new filter with the multiple filter options included? So you can use more than one filter at the same time. The only thing is that all of those filters have and clauses. So if you say the contact has to have a gmail.com email, they have to be based in Joburg, and their gender is male, for example, they have to meet all of that criteria before an email or SMS will be sent to them. So the clauses are and clauses. They are not all clauses to say if they meet this or that or this. And at this time, it is all and clauses. And then just quickly on the chat column, I had a few questions there as well, almost done. So is the company position field available on bulk update? Question by Ron. And the answer to that is no, because with that type of field position, like if you do a bulk update, not a lot of people will have that field for the same position or title to update everything at once. So the fields available are more general, like which location are you at, which company do you work for, what is your gender, etc. But fields specific like that, we do not have the option for bulk update. But you can always do a standard import just with the contact's email address or the contact's email addresses with their positions, and do an import, and we'll automatically update those contacts on your behalf. And then a question here from Gavin: how do you enable interest-based tagging? So on each email composition step, where you get to the email sending options, under the heading called tracking, there is an option there to say add. So we select on track opens and track links. There's an extra option there to track or enable the interest-based tagging. There's also another button immediately below that saying enable this for all future emails. So I always advise my clients to enable it for all future emails, just to make their communication going forward more personalized and a little bit more strategic. And then a quick question here from Liesel: can tagging be incorporated into a workflow email? I think I did mention, but yes, you do have the option to enable interest-based tagging on the email itself. At this time, there's just no way to action based off of that. So there isn't a filter for that at this time, but it is something we are looking at doing going forward. And then last question, Colin, before I hand over to you. So Siyabonga is at a new organization, and no one has basically used Evalytic before, and they also don't know who the relationship manager is. Siyabonga, you can send an email to consult@evalytic.com, and one of our relationship managers will have a look for you and get your relationship manager to contact you and set up training and meet and greet, etc. Colin, that's all for now.
Perfect. Thanks, Reno. Yeah, so yeah, I was just showing what Rainer was saying. If you want to activate your interest-based tagging, when you get to any your sending options or your message options on an email, you just activate it on the sending options. Yeah, okay. And make sure, yeah, if you can enable it for future emails, means it will continuously capture all those interests. Okay. Perfect. So let's just carry on. So what we're carrying on with is we're currently at our standard campaign. So what I was saying around standard campaigns is it's a way to group similar sends together. So I wouldn't go and say every send we send, you know, over and over, we're going to add to it. Every send that goes from Evalytic is going to be added to it. You can create campaigns according to different ones. So that might be our website launch, or you might be doing, and I'll show you just now for the reporting, we created a standard campaign for all the comms we sent out to clients when we were sending invites out for the group training. Okay, so I'm just going to say website launch. You go and you put in your normal from email and from email address. You create the campaign. And basically what happens with that, so now if I come to my standard campaigns, what you can do with this is, the nice thing with standard campaigns is you can come here and say manage campaign. So you can actually go and add past messages to a campaign. As you can see here, it gives you those options. But when you are creating an email, so if I just show you really quickly here, if I come and create a mailer, you can go and select which campaign to add it when you are putting in your message properties. So as you can see here, you're building it with your subject, your inbox, every information. I can say, okay, I now want this email to be part of the website. Okay. So yeah, really easy to use. As I mentioned, you can add past messages to this as well as you're going along. Okay. And then, like I said, it's really just about grouping certain messages together to compare their performance. Okay. So, for example, here, let me just quickly so, for example, yeah, this is an example of the reporting we've got outside of our training environment. This is our client comms environment. And with this, you can see our campaign name is the group training for 2022. Okay. And what I've done here is you can see I've added all the different invite mailers that have gone out, and reminders and everything to the standard campaign. It shows you the individual performance for opens and clicks. And then what it does is it gives you this campaign report. And this is what we're looking for. As I said, we're trying to group types of messages together. So this campaign so far has got a 19.8% open, 3.2% clicks. You can specify if you've just got emails. We didn't have any mobile or SMS sends. That was a part of the workflows. Okay. And then you can go and literally stipulate every single one. So under the email option here, I can say, okay, maybe I don't want to look at bounces. I just want to compare opens. And you can see here, okay, so we had some opens, the different percentages. You can still go through to every single detailed report for those sends. And then it allows you to select up to 5 mailers at a time to compare against each other. So maybe I wanted to look at those 3. You can see kind of the performance of each and different ones going different. Okay. If you had mobile sends, it would then give all your SMS sends under here as well. Okay. But yeah, as I said, make sure you use these campaigns, group them with your certain sends, be it a launch, a product, and you can group it. And then it just helps you to look at that. Okay. Nice thing with this also, which I really love about standard campaigns is that you can actually share the report for the campaign. And we actually do this internally with our team when we're sending out our comms for the group training. I shared this report with the client relationship manager on our Teams channel, and they can come there every time to see how the whole campaign is going. And every time a new message gets added there, they can go in and even look at the reporting of that specific message. So it actually streamlines some stuff as well, which is really, really great. Okay. So that's standard campaign. Make sure we use it, group them together, use that share report option. It's really nice and functional, and might help your team to keep an eye on your stats and what's happening in your comms. Okay. Perfect. So we've done standard campaigns. Now we're going to come to A/B split tests. So me, myself personally, I think this is a tool that every client should use at some point in time. A lot of clients don't always use it, and that is unfortunate. I know everyone is busy and we're trying to get things done, but this A/B split test tool is a way for you to test 2 different versions of a mailer to your audience. Hence what they call as A/B. One side gets option A, one side gets option B, and we look at what outperforms each of them. Okay. So we're going to go and create it together. I'm going to call this, the best way we always recommend when you start with your A/B split tests is to focus on your subject lines, because subject lines are super crucial. So I'm just going to say this is a subject line test. You can put any information there. Okay. From name. This is just your general information. And what this will do is it will actually pre-populate your emailers within the A/B split test with your information already, not the test name, just the from name. So you don't have to put it in over and over again. Okay. Now, what you're going to notice different here is when we create our A/B split test properties, the second step, which is different from when you create a mailer, is it goes to list selection. So it's selecting a list that we're going to split into. Okay. So I'm going to say I want to do the split, and maybe you select your main comms list or anything. You can still add filters, so meaning people that are getting this A/B split test can be filtered out. You can still create a filter with your A/B split test on the list. You always add a filter at the list selection step. Okay. I've selected my list I want to split. So we've got 27 contacts on there. And now this is where we create what type of A/B split test we're going to do. Okay. And there are 3 options. So the first option you get is a content A/B split test. As you can see here, everyone gets the same subject. Everyone gets the same inbox preview. The from emails stay the same. But what is different is one portion might get one design and one portion might get another design. If you are doing content tests, which is a good thing to do, don't change too much. That's a big thing around doing a content test. A/B split test, because you want to know what changed. So if you're changing things, try and make your buttons wider. Maybe link some more call to actions, or some links to images and buttons. Try some other options. Okay. As you can see it, that's content. So this gives you an option. Now I could go in and I can, you know, because I haven't put properties in here, but you can go in and you can select 2 different options. The nice thing with this though is when you get into compose, let's say if I did test, just like when you compose a normal emailer, if I come to builder here, it's also going to show previous messages. So you can take a design, you can test it, you can send it to yourself, and then you can come and select that previous message and insert it into your A/B split test. So you don't always have to create it at the time of the A/B, but you can obviously do that. Okay. I'm just going to come out of here. Come back to the A/B split. Okay. So yes, you would go and add your 2 different designs, the name, the subject line, everything would stay the same. Okay. The next option, which is I would always recommend, is the best place to start with your A/B split test, because subject lines is such a crucial part of how people engage with your mailers. Okay. So you can now come here and you can try 2 different options. And what I say to clients is, this is a great tool to really test different strategies. Okay, so I might say, you know, these, well, we have launched our new web portal, something, okay. Whereas in this one, we might want to test with personalization. I might want to say, hi, Colin, I want to add a fallback. So if the name doesn't exist, it's not just blank. You can say, hi there. Okay. We have launched our new web portal. So this would be an example of just doing a basic subject line test, but you can really change your subject lines even more if you want. Okay. As well as that, always remember inbox preview text works alongside subject. So don't miss, or don't, you know, miss this exciting launch. Okay. And this one could be something, this is one to not. Okay, so you would go and test that, and then obviously, as you can see here, the from name stays the same, the actual mailer is all the same, it's just those 2 different versions. So there's so many different options you can try here. As I've, you know, there's some really great blog posts we do on our website around different strategies and content. So this is a nice way to, you know, to implement those different strategies. And I'm not going to show you the other one, but the other option you do have is where you can have the subject line stays the same, but the from name is different. And that, a nice test for that might be is sending a mailer to your internal staff or clients, and maybe testing it coming from a general email name or from your company name versus coming from maybe a regional director, or maybe you've got a brand ambassador that is known in the industry. You could do something like that. Okay. For this example, we're just going with a common subject and inbox preview text. Okay. We go through these steps. We put everything in. As I said, you add the emailer that they're going to get. And then what options you get to is how we split the list out. Okay. So this allows you to choose how you split the list out for your A/B split test. Okay. You can either choose to go 50-50, meaning 50% gets subject line A, 50% gets subject line B. You can do that. This is quite a small list, so maybe that is a good option. But what you can do, though, is we also give you the option to actually decide to test to a smaller portion and then let the winner go out to the rest of your list. Okay. So you can even test it, but Always remember it's good to test it for a decent amount of size. There's no specific best practice exact amount, but a nice way to do it is 25%, 25%, and select the winner to the list. Okay. So once you've done your list split, you're always going to select what the winner is on. And the winner selection is dependent on what you're testing. Okay, so if you're testing content, it means you're testing where people are clicking in your mailer. Your winner will be selected on clicks. Okay. If you're doing subject and inbox preview text or from details, it's dependent on them on open. So what we're testing changes the performance of what opens or how many people open. Okay, so for subject and inbox preview test, we're going to split it 25%, 25%. Okay, and then what we're going to do is the winner is selected on opens. Okay, so I can save that. I can save that. And then what you can do is you select a test duration. So this is really important, especially if you're doing a 50-50 split. You know, if your mail is going out at 9 a.m. today, you don't want to have the hours to then kind of set a time that goes out at a very funny time. I would recommend maybe just keeping it, and let's say if it goes out at 9 a.m. today, we're going to let it go out at 9 a.m. to the winner in 2 days' time. Okay. There is a minimum of 4 hours, and this is also quite interesting to look at because with your A/B split test reporting, you'll be able to see which subject performed during the test period as well as after. Okay. After that, you'll go through all the different normal delivery options. I'm not going to take you through the proposing as it's pretty straightforward. I just am going to quickly just show you. Let me just see. So this is just an old report of an A/B split test we did quite a while back to our clients. It has got some pruned data, so the data has been pruned a bit over a period of time, but I just wanted to give you a little view on kind of what the reporting looks like. So you get a campaign overview, okay? The 20% of your recipients opened this campaign. Looks like the clicks have been pruned. It tells you delivered, you unsubscribe. And then it tells you your A and B, and you can see how close this one was. This one at one with basically by 5 or 6 opens on the one side. If we come to test overview, okay, you can see the 2 different subject lines. So the 2 different subject lines was new analytic features, message activity conditions, and improved button editing. And the other one was workflow nodes now include message activity content. Okay, so those were like the 2 different styles. And like I said, is you can test during a test period as well as you can see who won across all. Just ignore some of these empty info because the data has been pruned and it was a while ago. The test comparison is also really nice. So you can see here, it shows you who won. It'll show you how it was split. It'll show you the different subjects. There was no preview text used, and it splits it all out for you. And then you can even go as far down to look at just clicks or just opens. As I said, this doesn't have all the information because it is a bit of an older test, and it has, we have pruned the data. Okay. So yeah, that's everything around A/B split test. Please, I always stress to clients, and I think any of the client relationship managers do, use this function, test it out. Also, one thing to remember is where clients get confused. When you create an A/B split test, okay, the emailer doesn't sit in your history, it will sit in A/B split test. So if I come back here now, you can see I've created the subject line test. And this is where all the reporting and everything will sit. Okay. Perfect. So we've done standard campaigns, A/B split tests. What we're going to talk now about is we're going to talk about autoresponders and our triggers. Okay. So autoresponders, okay, so this is the autoresponder page. So basically what autoresponders are, okay, autoresponders is a mailer that gets sent to your contacts, but it's not like a bulk email. Okay. So what I mean by that is you can come here, you can create the mailer as you normally would, okay, with all your different options. So let's say if I come here, I'm just going to select everything. And for this example, this might just be an autoresponder that you might want to trigger to people when they fill out a form or they get added to a list. Welcome to our website lawn. Whatever, you know, you could do it. So just a welcome to our family. Okay. You could still put the same every name in it. Still a from address, for example. And what you do is you can still create an emailer as you normally would. Okay, so you can create the mailer as you normally would, except it's not going to be sent to a bulk list. It's going to be linked to a trigger. So you've got all the same functionality. You can add your attachments, any sort of information there. Okay, I'm just going to go to the next step. And as you can see here, on autoresponders, there's no step to select which list you're sending to. It's not linked to a list. Okay. Next. It's going to take me to some similar options. So I can still do this. I can still do tracking. This is an example where you can enable your interest tagging over here. You can still select a footer. But then once you've created your autoresponder, all you do is, instead of saying I'm sending to a list, I'm just going to confirm to make it live. Okay. Now, when I come back to autoresponders, I have this welcome to our family mailer. Okay. It still has the same kind of reporting you would get from a normal mailer. It does get sent out. So you can see here, it still has your recipients, your content, platform, all the same. Except, like I said, it's not linked to a list. Okay. So we've created our autoresponder. This is what we're going to link. I'm now going to come quickly. We're going to talk about triggers, and then we'll jump into our global triggers a bit later after we've done all of those. Okay. So if I come to triggers now, what you'll see, what we have in the product at the moment is we've got our triggers and our new global triggers environment. Okay, so new global triggers is our new build around triggers. The difference between the two is triggers, the old ones, don't link into workflows, which is our really key automation feature that we're going to go through just now. So global triggers can be feed people into workflows. The older triggers don't work as much. But you can see our global triggers have basically all the same features that these existing triggers have. Okay. So you can come here, you can say, under our trigger option, I can say, when do I want to trigger something? What is the event that happens? Is it when someone subscribes to our list, like this, welcome to our family, when someone unsubscribes? And there's a whole bunch of different options you can do here. You can literally trigger options around a unique read, a unique click when someone updates their profile. But for this example, I'm going to say when someone subscribes to our CRM list, so let's say you've got a form link to it or they get imported to it, I can then send the option, which is send an autoresponder 5 minutes after they subscribe to that list. Okay, so that's just a basic example of what you can do with triggers. As I said, we have rebuilt triggers, and this will take you through to the new global triggers option here. This is just showing you kind of what you can do with global triggers. Workflows work quite similar, but you can do a lot more with it. You're just trying to set up a basic welcome or a thank you when someone subscribes or clicks. Maybe they click on a link in your mailer that says request a demo. You might want to go and trigger out an emailer saying, hi, we received your click for demo. We will get someone to contact you soon. Okay. So that's everything around that. And there's other options. You can remove all autoresponders. So if you have a lot of autoresponders happening, you can have an action that someone does something to prevent other ones from going out. And you've also got things like a contact action, which is really, really useful. And kind of how I explain this is what we have set up with our client in the client relationship management team is that when a person subscribes to our onboarding, because we fill out information for our onboarding workflow. So when people subscribe to our onboarding, we actually have a contact action that then subscribes them to our master comm, let's say, communications. So you actually have a contact action that's when someone does something, they're actually being subscribed to the onboarding, but also ensure we add them to our master list. Okay. External action is also possible. You can trigger out information to external action. So let's say, for example, when someone unsubscribes, you can trigger and say, I want to send the person's first name, email address, maybe any other information. Maybe you've got a custom field. Maybe that's I don't know, maybe a account number or something. You can then go and trigger that all out. Okay, so if I click save now, you can go and trigger all that information to be sent to a specific link for your own system to capture. Some clients do that to capture maybe an unsubscribe into their system. Okay. So yeah, please make sure that you are using these triggers. As I said, with our new global triggers. So this is our new global triggers page over here. It's a little bit more refined. As I said, it's a newer feature. It's got some better UX, and obviously it's a little bit cleaner to read. So this is the kind of page that will likely be moving forward when the old ones fall away. But you can see here, there's same and similar options. So when a person clicks on a message, we can do something. When they open an email, when they subscribe to the list, where the additional features come in is things linked to field changes. So in our old triggers, if someone's field changed, we couldn't trigger something else. If someone unsubscribes from the list, visits a landing page or a landing page link click, you can action anything from there. I can say when someone clicks on a message, okay, let's say I want to select let's say, for example, if someone clicks on a certain link in a certain mailer, I can say whenever they click on these certain links, I can then go and create an action. This is that action that's similar to what we saw on the previous trigger page. Like I said, these new triggers allow people to be added or removed from workflow where our previous ones didn't. Just like the previous workflow, I can send an autoresponder. So I can still go and send the welcome to my family, welcome after 10 minutes, for example. Okay. So you can add that, you can add it, you can turn a contact off, you can update the contacts field as well. Okay. So you can update a contact field, sorry. You can subscribe into a list, you can unsubscribe them from a list. And this webhook option is that same option I showed you just now, where I can send to a certain URL a summary of information. Did the person unsubscribe? What was the date, the time? You can build that all. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so before I am going to come back to this, but before we go into this in more detail, I am going to jump and actually ask Reino, do we have any further questions at the moment into workflows?
So with workflows, there were a few questions regarding the interest-based tagging and tagging in general. So a lot of questions, there were a few questions if the They can use the data from the interest-based tagging to personalize or be more strategic with their data. And unfortunately, you cannot do that as yet. You can activate for us to track or Google to track interest-based tagging on workflow emails. And also the only way you can currently enable or use interest-based tagging of data you already have or just standard tagging is with 3 specific workflow types. So you can't use that filter on all workflows. You can only use it for the subscription event workflow start trigger, anniversary, as well as the once-off start date. Any of the other workflow start triggers like opening emails, clicking on links, or e-commerce or whatever it may be, you cannot add the interest-based triggers or interest on those workflows. The video, just to recap, we will make this video, we will share this video at a later stage to everyone. To speak to your client relationship manager in the interim and ask them for previous recordings, because we have a few of those on file. We also had a question from Peter regarding WhatsApp. So please speak to your relationship manager about that. We don't have that currently. There have been discussions around that, but nothing has been confirmed. So just speak to your relationship manager regarding where, if it will go live, if so, when. Unfortunately, nobody knows yet. And yeah, that was basically the crux of most of the questions, Colin.
Awesome, thanks. Thanks, Rainer. Perfect, so we've gone through some of our triggers. We've spoken briefly about autoresponders. Like I said, I will touch a bit more on global triggers, but I actually want to just take you through the workflow process first, and then we can jump into some of the other uses of the global triggers. Okay, so workflows is our, if you've been with us for a while, we used to have what we called was drip campaigns, and we rebuilt the whole feature. This feature has so many different uses to it, and I recommend if your business or your smaller team is not using workflows to streamline your day-to-day, to engage more often and better with your clients, I definitely think you should spend some time with the client relationship manager and understand how you can implement it. For this workflow, I'm just going to say, I'm going to call this a lead qualifying workflow example. Okay. There we go. Qualifies leads of the right. The example I'm going to use. The from name would be Everlytic. Okay. Info or whatever your information that you would use. Okay. As I said, this information will pull through to all the different parts in your mailer. So adding this just means it will show up different parts, but you can edit it as you need to. Once we've added in all the information, okay, we get to our workflow builder. Now this workflow builder, obviously I haven't got, I'm just going to use one specific example here. The nice thing in our knowledge base you can see here is we've also got some nice examples to use. Okay, well, let me just. So I just want to show you quickly before we dive in about all the different workflow examples. So if I come to workflows here. Okay, create a workflow. And then as you can see here, we've actually got some nice workflow examples for you. So straightforward, welcome mailer. We've got an example for you. There could be things like a sign up for a demo workflow. So always worthwhile to visit this this knowledge base. If you want to re-engage with customers, there's some additional examples here as well. So make sure you visit the knowledge base. to see the different examples you can use. Today, as I said, I'm just going to use this example, and we're going to take you through kind of what you could use as a lead qualifying workflow. I'm going to take you through all the different type of workflow types, and then we will show you, how we are going to set this one on. The first type of workflow type you get is a subscription event. Okay, and it's quite straightforward. Triggers your workflow when a contact subscribes to your list. Very straightforward. So let's have an example, an onboarding workflow. You have one client that gets added today and one client that's added next week. They only start getting the comms from the workflow once they subscribe to the list link. Okay. And you can select who you would like to send the campaign to. So let's say, for example, you only want the new people that have joined that list. Only the new people that add that list must join it. If you already have a list of, let's say, 20 people, okay, on that list, you might want everyone that's on there plus new and existing. So anyone that's new or existing on the list must join. Or you can have contacts added manually via an API. Okay. So that's if people are joining the workflow through your system, adding them to a list through an API. Okay. Subscription event, people are joining as going through the workflow as they hit that list. Okay. So perfect. These are great for onboarding on that side. The next option we have is really useful is our anniversary workflow. This is an easy workflow to set up. Okay. You can say it starts on a contact's birthday. It recurs annually. And what you can do from there is you can literally just have it and say immediately on their birthday, okay, I want to just have one email, and that email is just a birthday. Saying, happy birthday, John, happy birthday, Sarah, and it will run automatically. Okay. Nice thing with this anniversary workflows, you can use it not just for birthdays. You can say 1 month before their service date or 1 month before their purchase and anniversary. You might want to send them a discount. I don't know, maybe you're a car business, you can do that. You can also send them, you could use this anniversary as a renewal workflow. So 1 month before this, before their renewal date, I want to send them a workflow reminding them to renew. So those are some really nice examples. Okay. So we've done subscription event, anniversary. Now we're on once-off start date. Once-off start date chooses a specific once-off date to trigger your workflow. So what this means is everyone that's queuing to wait for the workflow will start it at the same time. Okay. So let's say, for example, we've got our event on Thursday. Okay. I want on Friday at, let's say 8 a.m., I might want them to start getting the comms for this. Okay. And we're actually going to come back and use this option for the one I'm going to build for you today in this set. Okay. Dynamic data set. So what this dynamic data set is, it allows a contact to go through a workflow multiple times. But for them to do that, they have to hold a unique data set. How I best explain this is, let's say, for example, you're a company that assists with tours and you want to remind people of upcoming tours or a flight number, okay? If you set up a normal subscription event, the person's email address would only be able to go through that once because the email address is what makes them unique. With this though, let's say, for example, it's a flight number, a contact will have a different flight number each time. So that's what will make them unique. And they could go through this workflow that's almost like a flight to reminder workflow. Okay. If you have any use cases like that, maybe you're a car company, maybe you have a use case where you want to add people to your service reminder workflow multiple times, chat to your client relationship manager. The other ones we have is also around e-commerce. So abandoned carts for purchases. You can obviously remind people about the different purchases that have happened. and then you can obviously get them to engage and push through that purchase. Okay. Cool. So what I am going to do really quickly is I'm going to take you through, as you can see here, remember we spoke briefly about the global triggers, is that people can also join these workflows when something happens to according to a certain start action. Okay. For this though, I'm just going to say start date. I'm going to say Friday at 9 a.m. And the kind of use case I'm using for this is, let's say, for example, on Thursday, we have an event, and on Friday, everyone that joined the event, I want to send out a series of communication. Okay. So at 9 a.m., you come and add a delay. Please note you've always got to add a delay, even if it's just immediate, just add delays between your different nodes. And let's say immediately at 9 a.m. on Friday, the first thing I want to do to the people that attended that launch, prospects, I want to send them an action. Okay, so there's a delay, an action, and a condition. And we'll talk about the conditions a bit more just now. If I come to action, okay, we can send an email, we can send an SMS, we can even send voice. So voice is included in workflows now as well. We can update a contact. We can, once a person gets to a point, we can send them to a separate workflow or to a go-to node. I will talk about these three a little bit later in the build. For now, I'm going to send them an email. As you can see, the pre-added information pre-populates. You don't have to add it every time. I'm going to say, thank you. Let's say I want to add their first name. And let's say we don't have their first name. I want to say, hi there. So it's going to say, thank you, Colin, or thank you. Actually, no, I'm just going to just do it easy, because I don't even have to say thank you. I can just say first name. Because I'm saying thank you, I can actually leave it blank. Thank you, Colin, for attending our launch. Okay. So that can add that. I can come and I can compose the mailer. This is just the normal step you go through, like when you compose a mailer. As I said, just remember, you can build mailers first, send it, test it, and then you can come back to your previous messages here. I'm just going to select one of these. As I said, this training is not to take you through all the email creation. It really is just to show you how to set it. Now you'll see here, you can still add your attachments, any specific stuff to the mailer. I'm going to say next. You can have all your tracking, and then I'm going to say add to workflow. Okay. As we said like that, it's starting. Everyone on Friday morning at 9 a.m. will immediately be sent their thank you for attending the launch mailer. I am now going to wait. So it's been 3 days. Let's say maybe we want to wait till the next Tuesday or Monday. I might say I want to wait. The nice thing as well is you can also delay to a specific date. Okay. So let's say, for example, I might want to delay to a specific date versus time period. This is also very useful. It just means everyone can wait to the specific date until that date comes by. So in 4 days, okay, please guys, just make sure you're aware of your days and times. Don't overbear your clients with email after email. Think about it in your own way. You wouldn't want to get bombarded, so just treat them with the same respect on that. Okay. What we might want to do here is we might now want to send, after we've we've waited 4 days, we're now going to go and send another email, and this is going to be our how can we help your business by using whatever. You might just want to add that subject line to that person. I'm going to go and just compose again really quickly, and I'll show you why I am going to the composition step again. It's just so we can use one of our activity conditions, and I'm going to take you through that. So I'm just adding this. You guys will obviously have the exciting comms and creative mailers that's going to pull your leads in, your clients. I'm just going to say next. And workflow. And what you can do now is, so once we've sent that, we can wait maybe another week. Okay, let's say 1 week. And what we're going to do now is we're going to set a condition. And what this condition is going to do is it's going to send certain people down one way and certain people down another route. Okay. And this condition works on a bunch of different stuff. Okay, so you can send people down a certain route according to any data you have. Okay. But what we're going to do is we're going to do an activity condition. I'm going to say, you know, has a activity workflow has opened. Okay, so has opened. Okay, that. So I want people to go in a certain way if they've opened the thank you mailer, or maybe and. So this is where the conditions can get really useful. They can either meet one. So we might want to say either person who opened the thank you or the other mailer, or if I want to select both. And let's say I want people that opened that. Okay. So what this condition is saying, everyone, if I come back in here, so anyone that opened the thank you and opened how can we assist your business, so they had to complete both of those, okay, would go down this side. So if they did, they said they would go down this side. Okay. So what this starts doing is it starts segmenting people according to their activity. So no, we might want to go and say, wait a week. Okay. We might want to go now and send them that email, you know, how do you have any questions about the launch you okay. I'm going to complete that data. But what you could do down this side is you could go and say, maybe set another delay and say a few days later. Should we get a salesperson to give you a okay. And what you can do is after the person's done that, what I like to do, because it is a lead generation workflow, is add another delay, maybe for a week. And the action is when the person gets to this point, okay, we might want to update their lead status to warm, and you can actually link it to the launch. And you can update multiple fields. So it won't just be lead status, it might be completed something, but this gives you a good understanding. But what this workflow is doing is it's automating the communication with your clients after the event. If that person now does go and opens the mailers, shows some interests, we can then go and set their status to warm, and we're basically separating people from the function to actually tell us if they're interested or not. Down this side, what you can do though is, after this mailer, you can delay for maybe 2 weeks, and there's different options. They can either finish here, or what you could do is you can actually add them back to a go-to node. So you could actually send them to a different part of the mailer again. You know, if you had an extra workflow, this has only got 2 different flows, you might want to add them to a separate flow for people that weren't interested. Okay. So yeah, these workflows are really, really exciting. There's so many different things that we have done before. What's also really nice as well is, you know, even at this point, you could add this person to go to a workflow that might be an uninterested lead, and that might send them comms 6 months down the line. Okay, so there's so many nice stuff you've done. Some examples that we've done before that were really quite intricate. For one of our clients, we did a maternity workflow. And how this workflow worked is it actually worked, it had to do with your trimester weeks. So when you went to a different trimester, you actually got sent different comms of what to expect. Once you got to your last trimester, I saw the client, they would send the ladies an attachment of what to pack for the hospital. So imagine how you can engage with your clients and have it all run automatically. Okay. What's also very nice, so also understand, is the system also has an unenrollment trigger. So let's say, for example, any of the people in this workflow, let's say, for example, their lead, say their lead status went from any value, okay, or updated. Let's say you could say it went to warm, or even if it actually got updated at any point. So maybe it got updated. As a precautionary, we might want to remove them from the lead workflow example, because imagine that person's really engaging someone. Maybe they're really warm, maybe they're really a client. We don't want to keep them in here and bother. And so that's a really nice example of an unenrollment trigger as well. What I do want to show you really quickly, so please spend some time, think about how workflows can organize and streamline your day-to-day. As I said, there are so many great examples here. I'll just refresh this. There's great thought leadership. And what I want to show you really quickly is, let me show you here. So this is actually the reporting for one of the workflows we did, or actually the workflow that was the reminder workflow for this session today. So that's one great use we've already seen workflows helping. It's helped us get a plus minus 70 to 80% attendance on our workflows. But how this worked is that it was triggered on subscription. So if when you RSVP for the sessions, you were added to this list, okay? There was no filter. You would have been sent your welcome mailer, so your RSVP welcome, okay? This does say we'll send immediately because the whole workflow has already been completed. After you got sent a confirmation email, you got a reminder 24 hours before by email. And then what we did is we sent you an SMS half an hour before to remind you again. So this is just a very simple workflow, but a nice way to show you just how even a simple workflow can make a big difference. Look at some of the engagement we're getting here. Okay. Like, look at these open rates. When people opt into these workflows, their engagement is much higher because, and a great example is we had a client a couple of years back, they did a running training workflow. You could sign up to 12 weeks to complete your first 5K race. And how awesome of an experience would that be? And what is your perception of the brand when they help you to reach that goal? Okay. You can go into each emailer and you can look at the overview. I'm not going to go into it because it's got confidential information. I just wanted to send you this information here. Okay. So yeah, so once you've done that, you would go and select the list. So I'm going to go say next here. Just understand you won't be able to make the workflow live until you've completed all your emailers. And let's say, for example, this is the launch leads list. Anyone that was added to this list by Friday at 9 a.m. will go into this workflow. Okay. Another big thing just to remember around the workflows is you can also select days that this shouldn't be sent. And what we recommend is rather send during the week. If they sign up on Saturday, it'll wait till Monday before they get the confirmation. So play it by ear. Maybe if it is where your first mailer is a confirmation, you might want to send on the weekend, but you can still limit it. Okay. And then when you get to your workflow confirmation, as you can see here, there are incomplete nodes. It tells you when it's scheduled to start, what list it's linked to, and then you can obviously go and confirm and start your workflow. And the nice thing with the workflow, so if I come to history here, you can see this is still composing. You can recreate a workflow. So if you want to create your workflow, change the time so it's within an hour, or to test it, you can then come and just recreate your workflow and adjust before you launch. Cool. So yeah, I just want to quickly come back to our global triggers just to talk about additional ways that it can be used, because I know we did touch briefly on it. But any of these triggers, so even if you ended up sending an email maybe to those people that had touched the event, you could then go and select that mailer, and you could even add people. So let's say you end a mailer on that evening or afternoon for your event. If they click on something, I could create a trigger that would then add them to our launch leads list, for example. So not only could people be getting imported, but they might select a certain message or a certain link in that message. They can automatically be added to this. Okay. So that's an example how people could still be added into that workflow through another list. But yeah, all of these triggers work on their own. Like I said, you can do anything. So if a person's field changes, maybe from a lead, let's say, for example, that from any value to a specific value, you can either add them. So let's say, for example, their lead status goes from any value to client. Okay. I could add them straight in to a specific workflow. And let's imagine you had your onboarding. You could automate. So yeah, really, really exciting. Any of these options, you can add additional criteria. So this is like filters. So in other words, we might only want people whose custom field is client type is one of these being added. Okay. You can add additional criteria as well to that action. But yeah, anytime a trigger is added, be that in a workflow or here, it is added here, and you can actually see the actions. And this is the amount of people that have actually been triggered with that action. And remember that it has to be active. So if you unedit it, you've got to go through the steps and make it active again. Cool. So yes, that's everything about workflows. We just showed you briefly the workflow history. Where I want to finish off really quickly with you guys is landing pages. So landing pages are very, very useful. A perfect example, and if you guys were in the basic sessions, is that landing pages can be used for multiple different uses. I could create a landing page that could be whatever. Let's say it's the product info page, okay? You could have this landing page and you can link it to a button in your mailer, okay? Ideally, you would always want to have product information on your website, but in that situation that you don't, you could have this landing page linked to a button in your mailer that when they click through, they come to this landing page. It is built currently like you would build a mailer. We are hoping in the future that we will have some full width landing pages, but for now, it is just a central design like an email. What's also really great for these landing pages, especially on things like our subscription form. So we've got an expiry feature on our form. So you can expire according to how many people subscribe or a date. You then have to use your landing page to communicate that the form has expired. So there's so many uses for landing pages. You create the style, you can add any additional links to it. Once you come to options, you can change the page name, you can add a page description. It helps with a bit of SEO, and then it'll show you, and you can edit the name that will appear on your application URL, the landing page. Once I select next, landing pages work like forms, like workflows where you have to still make the page published for it to be active. If I copy this, I now add it here. That's the landing page, how it will show, and I can still click on here. It'll still capture my engagement on. I'll show you really quickly. So I'll show you now. So this is an example of the registration is closed for the group training landing page. Okay. This will show you how many total visits landed up on this page, that when the expired form, people landed there. You can look at a specific day. You can look at a month or a year. This was only created then, so you would not find much information before. Okay. And what you'll see is there's visits just before the cutoff time on the different sessions. With this being a landing page, it doesn't work on like opens and clicks as much. It's more visits, it's more visits than opens. So you can see 46 anonymous visits, 26 contact visits. So they were, not unique or returning. How many were web, how many mobile? Examples. There was no clicks. Okay. So there were two total clicks. Okay. These were where they clicked. So even though this was a landing page, people are still clicking through to your website. So make sure you have those different parts added. Okay. Cool. But yeah, that's basically everything for the session today. One thing I do want to talk to you briefly before I hand over to Reino is just around our portal. So in the last year or so, we did move over to a new billing system, which enabled us to allow for people to top up with credits on the platform. Okay. So if you come here, you can still see like my account. If I need more credits, how do I top up my quota? Okay. And what you can do is you can actually top up credits from within the platform. So this is just our training environment. So we're not set up there because we're not actually a physical client linked to the billing system. But here, just above your billing, there would be a top up quota option. Okay. You can go to the credit tabs. You can select the now top up button. Please just understand that if you don't have this option, there are some prerequisites that we have to just enable. First of all, we got to give you the user access. Second of all, you've got to be connected to our billing system for us to invoice you for these credits. Okay. And then you'll get an option. You can either pay an invoice by EFT or credit card. Just understand with that though, email credits are still allocated immediately with no payment, no matter what payment option. So we do allocate without immediate payment, but with SMS, you still need to pay for that invoice first before we allocate. Okay. But yeah, I hope that does help you. Reino, do we have the last questions?
Hi, Colin. Yes, thank you for that. We do have a few that came in after I spoke last. I'll be quick. So Chimani had a question regarding A/B tests. I wanted to know if they can use their customized mailer templates for A/B testing. Yes, you can definitely do that. Any template within the system, either if you uploaded it, created it with the builder, classic code, whichever template, you are definitely able to use it. And then Conrad Peterson had a question regarding A/B testing and wanted to know if you sent out an A/B test email using the A/B test functionality, and you've also built the email there, would that email show on the previous messages? Like if you create an email, it shows you all the templates that you saved, standard ones and previous messages. The answer to that is no, it will not show up there because it was used as a bulk email. So the way around that would be is to create the email using the standard bulk mail functionality, save it as a physical template, and then you can use that template for A/B testing, autoresponders, workflows, bulk email, whatever you need to. And let's say you did use it for an A/B test. You've sent out the email and that email, for example, had the most opens or clicks. Then that email has already been saved as a template for you to use or click on from wherever in the system you are. And then with the inbox preview, Conrad also asked if they have inbox preview on the template, they want to save it as a physical template. There's not an option to add the inbox preview text, only from name and the subject line. So that is correct. Maybe to send your relationship manager an email and see if they can maybe speak to development to see if we can add something like that. And then Dane had a question if we have any plugins for Salesforce. So we don't have any direct plugins for Salesforce. We do have a very good API, which a lot of our clients use to integrate into their CRMs or their ERP services. And then Peter had a question, can you embed videos in a workflow email with tracking? So you cannot embed videos in any email in general, whether it be bulk email, autoresponders, or workflows. And that is because the email will be way too large. So a lot of companies have restrictions on how big the email could be. They also have restrictions, like most email clients don't accept that type of functionality either. So I would suggest creating a GIF that looks like a video, but just know some of the older email clients will still not be able to see that as a video or a GIF. And then James had a question, if they had a button in the email with a button that says download brochure, how do we stop emailing, or how would we stop letting that person go through the rest of the workflow? So we do have unenrollment triggers. So the same type of triggers you use to start the email, like open email, click link, stuff like that. You can also create an unenrollment trigger to say, if a person opened this email and he clicked on the specific link, remove him from the particular workflow. So you won't receive any communication again. And then with Ashton asked, we have the functionality on workflows to restrict sending days for specific days and times, but we do not have that for bulk email. We only have rate limiting, which sends emails automatically every hour or day, whatever you have set it. But the other option is the staggering, where you control how frequently you let the emails go out. So unfortunately, there aren't any options to say only send between these and these specific days. And then Steve asked, how do we use transactional SMS on the platform? Colin, I asked if you can quickly show an overview, or I can just ask the account manager to show. I think there is, I'm not sure if there's transactional email added on this specific account. So Steve, just send your account manager or relationship manager an email. They will gladly do a demo for you and also ask any questions you may have, because we have a new transactional email dashboard that launched recently. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's already showing it for us, but I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so I think check your client relationship manager. You just need to have SMS credits, and then they can show you all the documentation around the transactional SMS. But yeah, the client relationship manager can definitely.
Okay, and then the last question I have is from Ruan. He asked if we have a new Zapier integration. So just for everyone else, so Zapier integration is basically middleware that a lot of companies connect to, and they stand as the middle company to connect into most other software providers out there. So we do have an integration with them. It's not a complete one. And to answer your question, Ruan, we're not going to do any updates on Zapier, the Zapier integration at this time. Most of the development is either direct with the customer, or we do it on behalf of the customer to do the direct integration instead of using a third-party device to connect, because a lot of clients do not, there is a cost involved from Zapier as well. And at times the cost is quite large. So we rather do direct integrations to companies. And then last question from Kelly Reed. She asked if we can use, for the landing pages, can the landing page have a different URL, a different customer website, etc., or is it whatever the domain was used to set up the account with? So that is correct. If you create a landing page, the default URL would be your login URL, and then obviously the rest of the landing page. You cannot select a different URL. If you do need that, you'll need to create the landing page on your own on a different system. Okay, so those are all the questions for now. I would just like to show you guys something else before we end our session today. Colin, I'm just going to start sharing my screen quickly.
Perfect, go ahead.
Okay, great. So there's just one more thing that I would like to touch on with is Analytics accreditation course. So we did create a course for clients to basically train on Analytics, get a better understanding of how Analytics works and how to better the campaign. So it is free for all of our clients. So you basically log in with your Analytics username, and then you can also then just select the password. With the accreditation course, it's actually very nice. You do get transcripts, you do get certificates. We allow you to share them on social media for everyone to see that, listen, you just did an accreditation course, and it's just fun to do that as a team as well. So some of the benefits of why you should get accredited is to get consistency in your client communication. So basically, if everyone in your team or company has done this course, everyone has a better understanding of Analytics and what works and what does not. So working together on Analytics as a team will be more consistent. It also boosts your efficiency. So it helps you basically work more effectively. So you know what works, what doesn't work, how to do specific actions and how to do other actions. So you spend less time on Analytics doing what you need to get done. You gain a competitive advantage because you also know a little bit more than your peers or people from other companies, etc. So the knowledge that you get from that is great. It also identifies any strengths or gaps in your marketing strategy. So we learn you how to effectively use Analytics to get a better reach for your marketing communications, how to better do email campaigns, how to do this or that, so you can focus on what you lack on and then improve that going forward. And like I said, this is completely free, so there isn't a charge for the accreditation course. And that is it from Analytics. Thank you for joining, guys. As mentioned earlier, we will be sharing the video with everyone as soon as it's ready from our marketing team, but we do have existing videos available for everyone to view. Simply email your account manager or relationship manager, and they will share it with you.
Bye, everyone.